What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So if you've been following me for a while, it's probably because of the Mark IV Toyota Supra, or you guys have at least seen this build. And I know when we launched the Mark III Supra giveaway, we kind of teased that we were giving this thing away. And honestly, I don't think I could ever bring myself to do that. We took it to a little car meet today, and I had one of my buddies was like, what would you take for it? And I was like, I don't know, I'm not selling a thing. Obviously, we are giving away the Mark III Toyota Supra. Here are two of our t-shirts that we have available for the Mark III designs. And again, we have pretty much 2 days left of the giveaway, and I really don't want you guys to miss out. We have a lot of work to do to the car in this video because we're planning on sticking it on the dyno, making more power than we initially did with the first turbo setup, and then we're gonna take this thing for a rip and see how it drives. So I'm really excited. It's a big video. Just wanted to kind of show you guys around the shop. We have the Supra deck right there. We have some hoodies left over, pink hoodies, black hoodies, passenger princess t-shirts. So I know a lot of y'all have wives or girlfriends or kids or whatever. You know, you could give them passenger princess t-shirt. We have hats. We have some marketplace tees. We have coffee. We have some hot sauce right here. This is a local company that we've been working with. This stuff is freaking absolutely amazing. We have all of our accessories. Some more t-shirts. We have the hot rod t-shirt. That one's really cool. Then we have our detailing products right here, some more t-shirts and some more hoodies. So everything gets shipped right here in Colorado from my house. So if you guys order anything on the website, we see it, we touch it, we do everything with it. But appreciate you guys watching my little ad. I just don't want you guys to miss out on the Mark III because it is a super sick car. Obviously, a Mark IV is super sick. Man, they're freaking getting expensive. So check out the link in the description after this video. See how much power this thing makes on the dyno. Sean has been working over here adjusting some of this wiring that we had under here. So in order to make it to the last thing that we did, which was take it to that car show, before we did the intercooler, before we did the exhaust, we didn't want to put the fuse box back in the engine bay because the engine bay is just so pretty. So one thing that is kind of common on the Mark III Supras is people actually relocate that fuse box to up under here. And there's a really nice fender liner that actually seals everything up really good. It goes all the way to the back, and then it comes down right here, and then it goes under here. So this is actually a pretty well protected area. So Sean went ahead and pulled some of the wires, cleaned them up, cut them, spliced them together because there was a lot of like iffy things, and then went ahead and installed this battery lug thing right there. So instead of kind of how I had it with like a 10 mil. We didn't show them. I had a 10 mil bolt with a couple wires going together.
A whole roll of electrical tape.
It wasn't a whole roll.
Half.
I'll tell you what we were doing. We were getting to the car show, and that's exactly what we did. That was the goal. We had to get it to the car show. We literally painted the bay the day before. So fuse box, junction box is relocated. Everything is good, and you started it, right?
Yeah,
runs good. So now doing the alternator wire that is coming over here. We have the wire coming from the battery coming back over here, and then we have all this little distribution box right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get the power steering reservoir ready to weld onto that little situation right there, and we're gonna put this thing on the dyno. So we have a couple other things to do. We're gonna get the lip buttoned up on it. Overall, get the intercooler piping on. We're gonna get some vacuum lines ran to things. This thing's gonna get dialed in today. So here is that power steering reservoir that we have. This is a little bracket that we had cut out. This is aluminum, and this is just gonna go right here. Bam, just gonna get welded on the back like that, and then we just be able to bolt her straight on, and everything's gonna be pretty. All right, so we got that guy welded up right there on the back side. Now we're able to bolt it in. The next thing we got to do is mess with the cooling lines right here. I decided to do it on both sides. That's one of the nice things about the G series turbos is you can do coolant on the top and the bottom. So we have top and bottom on this side. We have both the lines right here, and then one runs to the water pump on the bottom, and then one runs to that fitting up here, which was kind of ugly before. So we went ahead and kind of grinded it off. We're gonna fill in this thing, hopefully, if I could manage to weld that big giant hole, and then weld this fella right here, and then we should have some coolant lines. Other than that, this thing is getting really, really close to being able to stick on the dyno. Power steering reservoir is mounted over here. That thing is really solid and nice. Sean is messing with the coolant overflow. We have the vacuum lines ran over here to the electronic boost controller. Couplers are on. We got to throw some clamps on this thing, and intake air temp sensor is plugged in. We just spliced into the factory wiring right there, or factory plug. So now we have one in the intake manifold. Other than that, she's really, really close to being able to go to the dyno. Also, guess what else I did? I did a flex fuel sensor right there. Nice guy. So we got a flex fuel sensor And we're gonna start with 91, and then we're gonna put some E85 in it, turn up the boost, make some jam. All right, you guys need to come over here and look at this hole that I filled. See you guys there. Right? I mean, for some cast aluminum, and I probably shouldn't touch it, it's really hot, but that was like a dime-sized hole right there. I don't know if I should like grind it down a little bit more, but I also feel like we're safe where we're at. That is really hot, so we're gonna let it chill. All right, so what we're doing here, we're vacuuming the cooling system. So sometimes these things are a pain to bleed, but also now that we've done a bunch of stuff with the turbo, the coolant lines, we have the radiator and everything in here, we have heater hoses that we like took off and put back on. What you do is you apply a vacuum to it. You can see it sucks the radiator hoses completely shut. And then normally we'll just let that sit for a minute or so and see if it loses any vacuum. That'll tell us if we have a leak potentially somewhere. So we'll let it sit for like a minute or so, make sure that it's all good. What you end up doing is, because you have that vacuum on the system, you put this little setup right here, and that draws in, it sucks out all of the water. All the coolant goes to all the places that it normally wouldn't when you just like fill the system and wait for a long time. So it's kind of a nice way of quickly bleeding the system and then getting coolant like behind the thermostat. So, you know, depending on what radiator you're messing with or what cooling system, sometimes it takes them a while to like burp and get past that. Whereas this, it just goes where it needs to go, and it's usually pretty good. Pretty much we're ready for the dyno. We have the air filter on, coolant lines on, cooling system is all connected. Sean is running some wires for the radiator, so the radiator fans and everything turn on. Other than that, I think we're ready to party on the dyno here very shortly. You ready to see this? We'll just give it so you just release this valve, and then it just sucks this guy down, and then it just starts filling up the system. And then normally you just stop when this gets to a certain point, turn this off, put in a new jug of coolant or water, whatever you're putting in there. Just let her keep going until she's full. Leak?
Yeah, something. Oh yeah, thank you for that.
See that? That's what we were dealing with. But now we got the thing, and it was touching. Look at those nice lines. Coolant reservoir. Look at that. But yeah, so we got rid of this fella. Everything else is looking really good. It's looking almost like a Supra engine bay. I really like how it all turned out. You know, wish it was 3 days sooner. But that's what you get when you're doing nice work. Did you like that?
I did.
Pretty good setup.
been leaking though. It's dripping right there.
Oh yeah, it's dripping on the turbo. I wonder if there's a hole in it. It's not, it's above it. It's in the accordion section. I can see it right here. Come here.
I wonder if it's like it is like dribbling. It's like dribbling right on the manifold. Yeah.
So it's the turbo drain. Something's going on with that. It's, you can literally watch it sit there and drip like on the turbo manifold. So initially when it first started, it was smoking a little bit, which you'll get that, you know, especially on a fresh start, touching it, everything in your hands. But that's way more than that. So we're gonna go ahead, pull all this stuff off, and see if we can get that figured out. All right, so the issue that we just had is normally these flanges are really wide, but with this unique turbo drain right there, it's very skinny. And so the gasket that we had on here, it protruded out the side, so it just allowed it to leak a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this guy on here. I'm gonna cut it a little bit so it's a little bit skinnier, so it fits in between the housing, because it is pretty tight in there. See how big that gasket was right there in the center? And see how it was flat and it was just coming out of the edge over here. So now this one's a little bit smaller. So we should be able to stick that one in there and it'd be okay. I think we're good. We'll find out though. All right, first drive with no smoke. Steering wheel feels nice. Oh, she needs some fuel. Things sound so good. And I swear the downpipe makes a difference. Like, it just gives it a little different of a tone. Pulling onto the dyno. All right, so we are strapped on the dyno, and we're just gonna start off. We're gonna adjust some fueling stuff, some like part throttle things, make sure everything is good. Obviously, like, the power numbers are cool, but it takes a little bit to get there. We want to make sure everything is good with the engine. You know, roll into it a little bit, make sure the wastegate's opening, make sure all things like that, and then we'll get to some power stuff. So the last time we were on the dyno, we were stock injectors, the like eBay GT35R, which was a ball bearing turbo. Now we have the RTEC turbo manifold, the new Garrett G30 900 turbo with the smaller exhaust housing, and Deechworks 750cc injectors. We also have a flex fuel sensor in there, and we're gonna go ahead and start off doing everything with basically just with pump fuel. So we're just gonna do regular 91 pump fuel, probably, you know, turn up the boost a little bit once we switch over to E85, and just kind of go from there. So it's cool that we have this whole new dialed in setup. Stuff has changed, but it's still gonna make boost. It's probably gonna make boost a little bit sooner. Peak power depends on how much boost we end up making. So that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna play around on the computer for a little bit, start making some runs. So it has 286 foot-pounds of torque and 289 or 269? 269 horse. So not bad for 10 pounds. So now we're gonna do another run, make sure the fueling and everything is cleaned up right there, and then we'll turn on the boost controller and make a little bit more. All right, so that was actually 2 more pounds of boost. And with that, it made 291 horse and 311 foot-pounds of torque with cleaned up fueling. So the fueling was dead on that time. And so yeah, now boost controller is on, it's working, all of this stuff seems good. We'll turn it up a little bit more and go from there. right, boys, so now we have some numbers between the initial setup, which was the, let's call it the knockoff 3582, which is technically a bigger turbo. You have a 62 millimeter wheel compared to a 55 millimeter wheel. And you can see right here where that comes into play. So on the old setup, let's just go to that one real quick. We made 446 foot-pounds of torque at about 4,500 RPMs. And then we made 406 horsepower at, you know, about 5,700 RPM, somewhere in there. So where the difference is and where you'll actually feel a lot with this turbo is the middle. So you can see right here, 488 foot-pounds of torque at 4,100 RPMs versus this one at 4,500 RPM. And then we made 418 horsepower, peak horsepower, at 5,000 RPM versus peak horsepower was at 5,700 RPM. You can now see where that smaller turbo kind of shifts the power a little bit sooner, but the crazy thing is we still carried all of that power all the way up top. It actually fell off a little bit up top compared to the other turbo. You can see up here at the top at 6,400, we're 358 horse versus 370. So, well, actually no, hold on. That line right there is the new hold on, let's look at this. So this one, the 418, yeah, look at that. We made more power up top as well. It is on a little bit more boost. The last turbo was on 19 pounds. We're about 21 pounds on this one. And it feels really, really solid, and it sounds freaking amazing. But look at that. Like, that's doing a burnout down the street before when you were getting ready to do a burnout down the street is what that is right there. So that's pretty cool. Stoked on that, stoked to see the power. We're ripping. Time for 85. There we are. Hey, look at that Civic right there. That thing, we might be working on it soon. Well, actually we are. And then look at that thing. See that? We're gonna be working on that too. She's drinking the good stuff now. Still a little bit of regular 91 in the tank. Probably a couple gallons, but this will at least get us in the probably E60-ish range. All right, so first pulls on E85. So we already picked up some good power. You can see right at 4,000 RPMs, 280 foot-pounds of torque previously to 320. So almost 40 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs. And then, let's see, peak power. Right here we made 293, whereas before we made 264. So picked up some good power by doing E85 and timing. So yeah, not bad. So this is on 10 pounds. So this is on wastegate only. So literally we turned off the boost controller. So this is the same exact pulls that we did previously on pump gas, basically just now with E85 and more fuel, more timing. So. Eric is bolting on the front lip officially. So we're getting ready to unload this thing and take it for its first drive on the street with the new turbo setup and making all of the power. I also have something pretty exciting. The previous owner just showed up, a part of a deal from when we bought this thing from him. I told him he'd be able to drive it. So we're gonna unload this thing and take it for a quick drive. But I wanna go ahead and do a pull in front of him. So we put some more duty cycle in the boost controller. So we will make a little bit more power. So if you guys wanna see how much power this thing makes, stay tuned for the next video, as well as if you would like to see the previous owner's reaction. But again, right here, we are at 449 horse. Previously it was 406. And you can see 467 foot-pounds of torque versus 446. And you can see the lines right here. The smaller turbo comes on a little bit stronger right here and makes a lot more power. So right here at 4,000 RPMs, we're talking a difference, 369 torque versus 408. That's 50 foot-pounds of torque more at 4,000 RPMs, as well as 282 versus 313. So about 30 horsepower right in the mid-range, as well as up top. You can see there's a difference of about 50 or about 45 horsepower at the very top. This thing's gonna drive a lot better. It's gonna be a lot safer on E85. We have the flex fuel sensor and everything in there, so pretty much the winner of this car, they should be able to go to the pump, literally put 91 in it, the boost will come down, the power will come down, and then they put E85 in it, the boost goes back up, the power goes back up, and everything should be good. So appreciate you guys watching this video. If you guys have not got any entries yet for this thing, the giveaway ends on Wednesday, which is April 30th. So there's only a couple days, maybe even a couple hours as you guys are watching this video. So really appreciate the support on the build. I know you guys are really stoked on it. I'm really happy on how everything turned out. This thing has done over 15 pulls on the dyno today and absolutely rips. So if you guys would like to see yourself in that driver's seat, tap that link, get some entries. But if not, appreciate you guys watching this video. See you in the next one.